Friday. I hope you guys all had a really good week at home, of course. I'm Zoe Ross Parker. I've been in a few videos on the YouTube channel already, but if you haven't seen my face, I'm a dancer at Washington Ballet and I used to train at Greensboro Ballet. And today I'll be teaching you a little Friday stretch class. And I thought maybe I'll just play some music, some cheerful Friday music, some of my favorites, and we can just do some stretching together. I have a little routine that I usually do myself when I'm warming up, and I'm actually today about to take my own Zoom class from one of my teachers, so this is actually a perfect warm-up for me. So you can just follow along, and I have a few tools with me, so I'd recommend maybe you pause this video and go searching for something similar to this. It won't be used for the entire video, but this is a trigger point ball, and it's really crucial to my stretching routine and my warm-up routine. But I've also used a lacrosse ball, I've used a tennis ball, any sort of ball similar to the shape. This doesn't have that much give to it, but actually I also have up here on my shelf, I have this little pinky ball. So this is a little squishier, and it has basically the exact same effect as this one would, as similar as you can get. Then the other thing I have is a golf ball, and this is really crucial as well for me. It's really good for rolling out the underneaths of your feet, so I'll teach you a little bit of that. If you can find anything similar to these tools in your home, that would be really great, but if not, don't worry. I just thought it would be good to pass those tips along. So just everyone get in a comfortable position on the floor. I'm gonna play some music just for fun. And let's just relax. Okay, so make sure it's not too loud. Everyone put their legs out in front of them. Okay. Just kind of stretching like a yawn with your body. Can't see my arms, but I'm doing this little stretching position with my wrists. You can kind of just go in circles. Sometimes I like to just kind of go forward and stretch my back. You can feel it all the way against the side body. Then we're gonna go over, just relax. You kind of rock your hips. And when you do this, it kind of gets you in a deeper stretch and elongates the lower back. Just hang out here. If you are hyperextended, try and keep your knees stretched still, but don't pop your heels off the ground for this. We're going to come up and turn out and do the same thing. Try and keep your heels together in a little first position with your feet pointed, and hinge at the hips as far as you can. Go forward again. Try and use your hands and gently just push your feet out as you're doing this. The goal for this is really just to elongate this muscle specifically that gets really tight, and for me it kind of hinders my turnout if I don't stretch it. Okay, come up and kind of move your hips around. We're going to go in the butterfly, classic butterfly position. Kind of just gently push your knees down. Move your torso side to side. Should feel this right here. And go forward. Try and, most importantly, have your spine elongated before you try and touch the floor. Because think about it, your real goal with stretching is to try and elongate the muscles and get them ready to loosen up before your class or after your class. So really for me, my goal is not how far I go, but more how deep I can feel the stretch. Just keep that in mind. Okay, and we're gonna go back down into this stretch. We're gonna take your hand, thread it underneath, and you're going to put your hand over the top of your foot, so like covering the metatarsals, these bones right here, your knuckles. And very gently take it at your own pace. You're going to extend and bend. Extend and bend. Extend and bend. And keep your hips in one line. Make sure when you're doing this, you're not bringing your, try and show you, like changing your hips, scooching one back. And from here, your hand is still where it was. We're gonna try and go all the way up, so we're sitting up with the leg. Ready? You can, for me, I like to change it to underneath my arch, because I can't really reach that well. Maybe I can. It's not as comfortable for me. And we're going to bend and stretch. Try and keep your back straight. Carry to the side a little bit. And lower. Make sure you're breathing. It's kind of relaxing if you tune into your breath while you're doing this. Just kind of sit up, and can you feel the balance, how it's changed in between your legs? For me, I can already feel that this one is a lot looser, and I can kind of move this hip and its socket a lot more. So let's go and do the next side so we can be even. It's very natural to have one side that's tighter than the other. For me, it kind of depends on the rep that I'm doing, maybe if I'm standing on one leg a lot more than the other, and for example, swan lake, I would always stand on my right leg. So my right leg got really tight, but naturally my left leg is tighter. We're gonna go all the way up. Okay, hopefully everyone's hips are feeling nice and open, and their hamstrings are. I'll just come back down here for a second. Okay, and gently take your time when you're doing this. We're gonna go into a middle split. We're just gonna sit here for a second. You don't have to go to your full range right now. And we're going to get right here in this little space that you have. Start gently kind of pushing, relieving all that built up stress and tension. Loosening up, you can even kind of roll your leg in and out a little bit into a turn-in position. Do not forcefully do this. We don't want to cause any pain. And this song is not relaxing enough for me. Find out as you're doing this that you can really manipulate your legs into kind of loosening up if you do it with the right intentions and you're not forcing anything. You don't see my right leg. Let me just adjust this. Excuse all the storage in the back, but you're gonna pop into a bigger split at this point. And let's go over to the right. Grab your foot, possibly. You can relax here, but not too much. We want to keep it active and make sure that this sits bone, it's hitting the floor as well, so you're not just taking a nap, you know? We're gonna bend. Isolate the movement only to your leg and not the rest of your body. Left. See, for me, this side is tighter, this side body area. So I'm already struggling a lot to keep this sits bone down in the back. Okay. All right, people. We're gonna go forward through our legs. So do this very carefully, and if you're not feeling warm enough, maybe do a little bit of manipulation to your legs and stretching in the side body before you do this, but I'm feeling pretty warm. Hopefully you are too. And carefully, what you're gonna do is creep up to your forearms to start. And you have either the option to sit back, so you're sitting in a turned out position, back on your sits bones, and you're hinging forward. So you have that option, or you can turn your legs in and lay down, or stand on your forearms if you're feeling tight. But the difference between those two is this stretches a lot of what we've already stretched before, this underneath muscle. This is more of an inner thigh. You can rock gently. And I'm going to go all the way forward. But again, I do this every day. So progress yourself, that's what's important. Again, think about what I said before. It's all about feeling your stretch that's more beneficial to you. Okay, so we're going to go through again. You're going to pull through and bend your legs. So your legs are going to be in this shape. You can hinge, you can go back. And really this is relative to the different positions that your hips will be in when you're in class. So we creep to this position. So here you're more in a demi-plie. This is more of a grand plie, right? But again, when I'm going into it, I'm here on my forearms. But we're not doing this in class, right? We're not crunching into our back. So really just relax for a couple of minutes. Shape your feet. And another thing I like to do while I'm here is I can open these out to a second position and kind of scooch them forward. So now my butt's up a little bit because I'm feeling a little tired. Everyone stay. I'm going to grab this one, this ball, and we're going to put it on our psoas muscle. I'm just going to sit up to make sure you know exactly where you're putting it. So here's the hip. Find your hip bone. And it's going to be right here, like a couple of fingers from your hip bone. And when you lie down, the weight of your body will push and create a kind of trigger pressure on here. And you know when you'll feel it, because it's going to feel a little uncomfortable, to be honest, but you'll start to feel a release. This was one of the first PT pieces of advice that I was ever given. When I was on my first summer intensive, I started having hip problems because I didn't know anything about releasing my hips. So this is the first thing I ever learned about stretching and recovery, having the two go together. And this hip was always tighter for me. So I learned to do it specifically on this hip, but we're gonna do both to be even. Oh, see, I hit it right away. Make sure it's uncomfortable, but a good uncomfortable where you know you're releasing something. You don't want to put it on your hip bone, because I remember trying to find it the first time and putting the ball directly on my hip bone, and that's not what you want to do. You kind of wiggle around. Sometimes I feel if I'm kind of leaning to the other side like I'm doing talking to you guys right now, I can hit it a little further. Ooh. Everyone slide down on it. Okay, and switch. Ooh. Oh, I haven't done this one as much. This is why you have to do both sides. Sometimes if I'm crunched for time, I do the one that usually is tighter, and that's not good. Don't do it. Now this one is really tight. Ooh. Okay. Feel the tension that's been released. Just kind of get yourself up easily. So the psoas muscle, if you want to know more about it, it's here like we talked about, right? But it wraps around towards your back. And so it's really helpful to release it if you want more open hips. And also, you know you're doing it correctly if your back has less tension. Now, we're gonna move on to our lower legs. So, when talking about tightness in your lower legs, this is the spot that gets tightest for me and for a lot of other professional dancers, especially if you're on point all day. You really just have this lower leg start to tense up to try and support everything, and especially if you're standing in rehearsals, which is a lot of my schedule, even if I'm not dancing. Usually I'm having to stand around in the back when it's not my turn to dance. So this has been my lifesaver. This should be included, I think, in every professional dancer's day-to-day routine or pre-professional, it doesn't matter. It's a guaranteed recovery. So, and you're gonna be less uncomfortable, you'll have less cramps, to be honest. So you're gonna take this ball. I'll show after this, if you don't have a ball, how to do it with your hands. Roll this up. You're gonna start Let's start with your calf. So you're gonna do right here, and you feel this big meaty part of your calf. Go in the middle, right in between. Put the ball there, and just cross the other one over, and just stay there. That's all. That's how you're gonna start. And if your calves are tight, like mine, especially being in a concrete floored garage, which just I think makes your muscles a lot tighter not having the correct flooring, you're gonna feel a relief all over this area as you're doing this. Now you're going to flex and point. And try and keep the ball centered. If you're really tight, it's going to want to wiggle around. It's not going to set deep, it's not going to kind of soften inside the muscle. We're going to, you see there's on either side, I can pinch this one and feel a knot directly right here. It's not as bad for this outer muscle right now for me, but the first thing you're gonna do is turn in. Immediately I feel it on here. Ah, oh, okay. Went a little too hard at first. This is why you have to be progressing into your stretch. Kind of roll it around. I got a very intense cramp very quickly. And you're going to slowly kind of migrate around this area of the leg. You can go all the way up to the side, just don't hit your shin bone. Because if this starts to get really tight, it's going to hang on to your shin. And if you get as close as you can to the shin, you'll find that those muscles are really tight as well. Right, now we're going to do the outside. So this area right here. So all you're gonna do is turn your leg out, the other one over. Just going to, there's no like direct method to do it. Sometimes I'm just with my headphones in listening to music like this and just kind of scooching around. And if you feel something really painful, the good pain of course, stay there for a second and just kind of coax the muscle to release. And now we're going to kind of move towards the lower area. Never take the ball and go directly on your Achilles tendon. But again, sometimes I'll even do this, hold on to the ball itself so it won't move, and kind of scooch around. I'm doing the same thing I did before, so turning in and scooching around and turning out. That was tighter than I thought it was going to be. We're switching to the other leg. See how this is trying to kind of move around on its own, and I'm giving it a sense of direction. And you're guaranteed to look a little silly while you're doing this. There's no graceful way to roll out the muscle you need to roll out. Okay. So next, this is going to be really quick. You're going to put this right next to the shin, not on the shin, never on the shin, but right here, this muscle next to it. If you're having shin pain, this is a lifesaver. Once you're there, sit up, and you can take your hands and press down if you need a little more of a stretch. You can't really see what I'm doing. We're all just learning how to do all this online video stuff. You can roll forward. Ooh, this is worse for me. This is all going to cause discomfort when you're doing it. And just know that that's the right sensation. You should never be doing a stretch and just not feeling anything. It's not really doing anything for your body. There's some things as dancers you need to take constant care of. So I really wanted to share stuff like this because this has saved me from a lot of injuries and helped me get through a lot of hours of rehearsal that otherwise I would not be able to get through. And it's going to be uncomfortable, but just think about the long-term effects of it. Your body's going to be feeling really healthy and good. It's better than not dancing. It's better than being injured. And also, with that being said, don't stretch too much. There has to be a balance. So none of these stretches you should be sitting in for like 10 minutes. It's just not healthy. Just try and keep it at a pace like what I'm doing, so like it's a constant flow. I'm doing the other leg, as you can see. So now we're going to, I was going to explain the alternate solution. So this I actually learned this year. If you are interested in purchasing this ball, this is from Trigger Point Therapy. So it says it on the ball itself, tptherapy.com. I think it was only $20, which I thought was pricey at first for a ball, but I've had this for, I think, 4 years now. And it's a little lumpy, so I'm going to need to replace it soon, but it's really long lasting, and your body is everything. So I invest in certain things like that because I think it's worth it, and you're going to have it for a long time. So tptherapy.com, they also have foam rollers. I have a little portable one that I got on Amazon for very cheap. And so this can also be bought from Amazon, but if you're on a last resort, you can use your hands, and we're going to take the thumb. You're going to start here, and you're going to just gently apply more pressure, but you're not going to be doing this. just keep it there. And I have my other fingers wrapping around so I can kind of stabilize my thumb. And it's just simple. You're going to do this all up your leg. See, I can even, now I'm kind of loosened up because I already did this, so I'm not actually feeling anything right now. But maybe spend 10 slow seconds for each area. Going up, etc. Then you can do it on the outside. Let me just find a nice way to show this. The left hand, like that, for 10 seconds each. And then you can grab the muscle itself. You can kind of feel as you're using your fingers that it can separate, kind of like what I was describing about how as the muscle releases, the ball kind of sinks into the muscle. So you can separate to either side and kind of do the same thumb technique. See this? See, this is tight for me. It's rolling with my thumb. So here you can hold it and press. And be very careful with this one, but you can take your Achilles and kind of make this V shape and kind of gently roll up and down. Okay. Because this gets really tight as well, but we don't want to deal with it in the wrong ways. We don't want to inflame it any more than it is. So you can kind of mess around with that safely and get into it slowly. The last thing we're gonna do is, if I can find, there it is, my TheraBand. I'm going to do some upper body stretches, and then I'm going to finish on this one. So you're going to, here's the first thing that I'll do sometimes. I'll go in the same child's pose position, and I have my hands palms together and forward, and I hinge back. And oh my gosh, this gives me a big stretch because my shoulders and my upper body is the tightest area in my body, I would say. I think I said my calves were before, but I think that's a lie. I've always had trouble getting my shoulders back naturally. So this comes all the way down for me. And as you've finished doing that, thread the needle through and hang out here. I'm going to use that TheraBand in a second. Now we're going to take our hand and kind of stretch our neck. But as I've said before, really don't force it because this could go in a bad turn very easily. You can also do this one. Kind of did this in the beginning. But the real thing is take this TheraBand crazy. This will be the last one. And we're also going to use that golf ball that I keep meaning to get to. Hold it, kind of, for me, because I've been doing this for a while, it's going to be the distance of my shoulders. If you haven't done this, extend it as far as you can. We're going to be doing this. Be really safe. Now that our shoulders are kind of warm, we're going to take this back. If you have very wacky arms like me, like look at how much I can do this, you really need to think about not pushing into hyperextension. So I'm going to keep my arms bent. It can be really dangerous if you stretch using your hyperextension to your full range. So ideally, you will feel this in the front of your arm, or the front of your chest. And it really opens things up for me. It opens up my shoulders, but ease into it, because that one I've tried without thinking when I haven't warmed up with other stretches for my shoulders before, and I've almost like caused myself a little bit of like unsafe pain. So really ease up to it. I was experimenting with it. I didn't really know how I could warm up my shoulders beforehand, so I'm just trying to pass along, be really safe. Now, last thing, I promise. Take the golf ball and just step on it. This is so painful. You're gonna rub it along the arch, and as I said before, if you're in point shoes, this is the most satisfying thing for me at the end of the day. This has saved me a bunch of times, actually. There was this one time that I rolled my ankle in rehearsal by accident. I don't know why you would do it on purpose. I don't know why I said it that way, but I took my point shoes off and I just kind of went like this and babied my foot a little bit, and it really helped with the amount of days that I had to rest, because I had already kind of took care of it and made sure that I had rolled everything out. I think the whole point of what I'm trying to say is stretching and self-care is really important for a dancer's body. Okay, I'm gonna do the other foot. If you ever decide to become professional and you're doing long schedules like me, it's very important that you apply things like this, because you as an individual have to find what works for you. So this is what works for me. It might not work for everyone, but getting experiences and learning stretches from other people is how you can figure out which ones do the best for you, and eventually you can create your own kind of Bible of your personal exercises. Like I have a lot of strengthening exercises that I do, your stretching, and I really hope that helped you, because I remember it was always so helpful for me to have other dancers give me advice about what they like and what they find helps them the most. Stay safe as always. I hope you have a good weekend. And I'm going to stop this video for now, but I'll see you in the future if I ever teach more classes, which I assume I will.